Number 35 is this 2018-2019 Panini National Treasures Retro Materials Gold Patch of Mark Jackson. And I actually have the one-of-one of this as well, but as you can see, the gold has a much better patch. I prioritize patch quality over scarcity. And I've been able to dig up some pretty interesting information on this patch. Back in October of 2018, Heritage Auctions sold a Navy Mark Jackson road jersey, and I had my suspicions that it was Panini that bought it, so over time, I saved pictures of every Mark Jackson patch that I saw, either pulled or listed. I saved them to my computer, I kept them in a file, and eventually I was able to use mesh holes and loose threads to confirm that it was, in fact, the same jersey. Now, it also turns out that Heritage claimed the jersey had been photo matched to a Pacers Bullets game from March 27th, 1996. And Getty doesn't have a lot of Mark Jackson images from that season, but they did have a few from that game, and all of the loose threads matched up. So, what are the odds, right? So I posted my findings in a couple of spots. I posted a picture of the card on Instagram, and Mark Jackson liked it. It was a small gesture, but when you add all of that stuff together, it makes this an important card to me, and that's why I have it ranked at number 35. Number 34 is this 2016-2017 Panini Preferred Silhouettes Prime Relic of Artis Gilmore. And when this set first came out, a lot of people were really put off by the new design. And it's not necessarily that it's a bad design, it was just drastically different from previous versions of Silhouettes. You might notice that the patch windows kind of moved down the card. It doesn't have the same Crown Royale insignias on it. A lot of the area around the box here used to be white. Now it's not. The pictures of the players were black and white, and I know this is a retro player, but even the rookies and the modern players were grayscale. And then on top of that, the autographs, instead of using blue ink, for whatever reason, they chose to use black ink this year. So you could see that that was a major difference. Regardless, that wasn't going to affect me buying this card one way or the other, because I absolutely had to have this card because it features a Kentucky Colonels patch. And the Kentucky Colonels were part of the rival ABA league to the NBA, so you just don't see a lot of ABA relics out there. This is actually part of the E on Colonels from the front of the jersey. This was a jersey that Panini acquired from Heritage Auctions. I've been able to match some of the threads up, so it was definitely something that I wanted and definitely something that I value in my PC, so much so that I even bought a second copy of it and have been tempted to buy more copies when they show up, but unfortunately they don't really show up anymore. So that is why this is card number 34. Number 33 in my collection is this 1972-73 Topps rookie of Julius Erving. And as you can see here, there's been a little bit added to it. And the reason for that is because at the end of the 1972-73 season, the Squires needed some money, so they sold Julius Erving's contract to the New York Nets. Now, I wasn't there when this card was modified, I guess is a nice way to say it, but I'm assuming that there was some kid out there that found out the news and scratched that Squires team name out and wrote Nets on there, because after all, we didn't have traded sets for basketball cards back in the 70s, so I guess if you wanted to make that change, you had to do it on your own. I bought this card raw on Check Out My Cards for, I think, $45, and I ended up sending it with my first SGC submission just because I like the way that it looks housed in this holder. I know they talk all about the tuxedo, but I do think that vintage cards look nice with this black holder. Obviously, I wasn't expecting much of a grade on it. I wasn't even sure if I would even be able to get a 1 with all of the markings on it, and as you can see here, I was not. So this was graded authentic, but that's fine by me, because I just like the card for all of the character that it has and all of the unknown stories that I wish we knew the answers to. So this is card 33. Number 32 is a 2020-2021 Panini 1-in-1, 1-of-1 tag auto of TJ Warren. And TJ's battled injuries over the last couple seasons, but he got a lot of attention during the pandemic bubble where he was putting up amazing numbers. He even scored 53 in a game against the Sixers. And ever since the Pacers traded for him, I'd been waiting for Panini to put out a nice Warren Pacers patch. And eventually they did. It came along in 1-in-1. with the rarest parallel being a piece of the laundry tag, and they were all numbered 1 of 1. And a lot of the laundry tags that I've seen feature the logo man portion of the tag. I'm glad this one didn't, because it has this every player, every game identifier that you can see here. Maybe not as visually appealing, but it is, I would say, a more significant piece, because in some cases, and not all, but in some cases, you can enter that information on the MyGray website, and it tells you what jersey the game was worn in. And I entered the number of this worn tag in, and lo and behold, it's from an August 2020 playoff game against the Heat. So in other words, it's a TJ Warren card with the tag of a jersey from the NBA bubble, the same spot where he more or less cemented his spot in modern Pacers history. Now, it wasn't the 53-point game, but it was from that same stretch. So I was pretty excited about the prospect of owning this card when I saw that it showed up. And I should have just bought it outright. I ended up paying a lot more for it than I should have, but I got it, and it's now number 32 on my list of my favorite cards. Card number 31 is this 1961-62 Fleer rookie of Wilt Chamberlain. And I just celebrated TJ Warren's 53-point game in the bubble. How about a guy that scored almost double that in an NBA game? And that's what you've got here with Wilt Chamberlain. So this is a PSA 2, and as you can see, there are some creases in it. The color's nice on it, though, and I'm not going to get too picky when it comes to a Wilt Chamberlain rookie. I'm just happy to own one. I acquired this one in the summer of 2019, and I had narrowed it down. I had wanted to get a big card of a big name player, and it was either going to be a really low grade Wilt Chamberlain or a low grade Michael Jordan. And at the end of the day, I decided, you know what, I really do lean towards vintage, even though I watched a lot. Obviously, I watched Michael Jordan. I didn't watch Wilt Chamberlain at the time. I wasn't alive then. But 1961 Fleer, I was just thinking, when I go to shows, I don't see these cards. And although I have seen more of them since then, it's something that you don't see very much of, whereas you can go to the National and you can see an entire case full of Michael Jordan cards. So, when you add all of that together, I decided to go with the Wilt Chamberlain. That's not a slight on Michael Jordan. It's not a slight on the 86 Fleer. I still don't have one of those, and eventually I want to get one. But I knew that I had to secure this 1961 Wilt, and that's the big ones that I've knocked out in that set. Eventually I'll get the rest of that set, but had to secure the Wilt, and very happy to own it. So once again, this is card number 31.